Hey, Joy, what time is it?
It's time for the Cruise Day Fun Podcast.
That's right. And this week on the Cruise Day Fun podcast, we're talking about our experience on the Margaritaville at Sea cruise ship.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
Spoiler alert, don't give it all away up front.
We didn't have fun.
Oh my. So we're going to tell you about our experience on the tiny little cruise line, that the cruise line that could, right?
That's right.
So Margaritaville at Sea cruise line has one ship. It's Margaritaville at Sea Paradise. And we were on board the ship a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We are finally getting a chance to do the podcast where we tell you how it went.
Yeah, we had so much fun.
Well, again, let's get into it. Let's start from the beginning. Let's tell you why we decided to go on this cruise line. We've been on 4 of the cruise lines, and this one definitely had the smallest ship of any and the oldest ship of any we've been on. Mm-hmm. We decided that we wanted to try something different.
It didn't feel small at all. It felt quite large.
Well, you think so? Okay. Yeah. I thought it felt small most of the time in good ways, and other times, yeah, you're right, it didn't seem small at all. We'll get into that. But let's talk about why we decided to do this, because, it's a 2-night, 3-day cruise.
Right.
And I know there was a time where you told me I wouldn't do a 3-night cruise. Well, this is even shorter. But living in Florida, mm-hmm. we have found that we're able to get an extra cruises by doing weekend cruises, like Friday through Monday, 3-night cruises. And we didn't have a lot of extra vacation time because that's a reality. We both have regular jobs. Mm-hmm. And we were like, how can we, get another cruise in? And we could do it because this is over Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we left Saturday morning and we came back Monday. Well, we left Friday, Saturday afternoon, I should say. Saturday mm-hmm. around noon. And then we got back Monday morning. So we didn't have to use any vacation time because we had Labor Day off as a holiday. And the fare, the cruise fare on Margaritaville at Sea is very reasonable.
Yes.
This one was a little more than it might have been other times because it was a holiday weekend. Mm-hmm. At least that's my impression. But sometimes they have cruises that are like $99 a day. They've seen them as low as that. Wow. We had an offer for buy one, get one.
Yeah.
So we only paid.
I was free.
You were free, yes. We only paid for my fare, and yours was a bonus. So we booked a ocean view. Well, we'll get into what we booked. Let's finish up. Any other reasons why we just decided to try this?
We needed a break from our jobs.
We needed a break. But I've also kind of wanted to try an older ship because we didn't discover cruising until 12 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of always wondered what it'd be like to cruise on some of these older, smaller ships because we really enjoyed cruising on, I think the smallest cruise ship before this was...
It's like being a king or queen because you're treated so nicely and you don't have to do dishes or clean up after everybody.
That sounds like any cruise. But you're saying because it's a smaller ship, you get more attention?
No, I'm just talking about cruising in general.
Okay, well, that's true. So, in case aren't familiar with the channel, we enjoy cruising.
Right.
We encourage it. But this ship was smaller than any cruise ship we've gone before. The smallest before this was probably Norwegian Jewel, and this ship was about half that size. So pretty small, and we were curious about that. We were also curious about this unique little cruise line that's Margaritaville, mm-hmm. Jimmy Buffett themed cruise line that has one little ship. And we just really wanted to try. We like trying different cruise lines anyway.
Right. So, we would see it in Freeport and wonder mm-hmm. about it. Yeah. Like, I wonder what that's like.
What's the deal? Yeah, it's got a really different look. The I was going to say the fuselage, but no, the outside of the ship.
The hull design is really pretty.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really pretty. It's got, it may not be everybody's taste, but it's got a fun vacation look. It really is on brand with Margaritaville.
Right.
But let's get into what our experience was like. I think you may have already given people an idea that we didn't hate it, but let's talk about what we expected versus what our actual experience was. So,
I came in with no expectations.
Well, okay, I guess we're done with that part. You didn't have any expectation about what it'd be compared to Carnival or Norwegian or Royal Caribbean or.
I was hoping I hadn't heard much about the food, so I was hoping that the food would be good.
Okay.
And that there would be choices, and there were choices.
Yeah.
So
maybe you can tell here who did the research and who booked the cruise. I had more kind of expectations, so I'll go through that a little bit. I expected that because it's a low cost cruise line, that it was, like I said, sometimes they sell cruises for $99 a person. And I thought, wow, I bet the crew is going to be underpaid and unhappy, and due to low pay, and maybe their working conditions aren't as good because it's an older ship, and they might have not the best accommodations for crew members. And I also thought that food and drinks would be less than maybe substandard, not as good as other cruise lines. And
they were generous with the
pours. We're talking about the expectations,
right?
You keep jumping ahead. Okay. And I thought that things like the services, like the Wi-Fi, would be just like a joke. But thinking all that, I was still willing to try it for a couple nights. Yeah. So, in reality, I'll talk about the crew a little bit. We'll start with that because I said I thought the crew would be miserable and underpaid. The crew were really friendly and helpful and friendly as any we've encountered.
That's right.
We got to talk about some of the people we met on board, and that's crew members. We're also going to mention a couple of viewers we met.
That's right, Dan and.
Yep, we'll get to that. Yeah.
I remember the husband's name because it's your name.
Well, that's easy. It was Daniel and Tabitha. We met them during dinner at the MDR. But We'll get to that. We're talking about crew right now. It just made me think of them. Rose was working in the Port of Indecision buffet, and I also saw her working in the Finn's main dining room. And she was really awesome and friendly. I talked to her. We were somewhere else at the time, I think, when I first met her. But she was sharing a lot of information about the experience working on board because she had worked on another cruise line. And she said she really liked working on that ship. And she said that the crew members seemed to really like it and that they're paid very well. So that made me happy to hear that, at least from one crew member, that they were very happy.
That's always nice to hear that they're paid well, because you always hear the opposite,
Yeah. And we didn't get into it with other crew members we talked to as far as their personal situation. I mean, it's just, I don't usually interview or ask crew members, how do you like on board?
Personal questions.
Yeah, because I think they get asked that a lot. I think a question that's common for them is, what country are you from? What kind of food do you eat in your country? And it's just like, I'm from Canada. It's not that different, But Rose was just really friendly, and it was about time for the buffet to close, and she was just kind of cleaning up and stuff, and we got in discussion. But also our room steward was really friendly, seemed very happy. Yeah. I mean, we didn't survey her or ask her, to take a lie detector test about how happy she was, but she seemed really happy.
And any request that we requested was done immediately.
And her name was, I don't remember how you say it, Asatis? Asatis?
I'm sorry. We're
she pronounced it for us.
Your name wrong. But
it's beautiful when she says it. When I say it, it sounds like...
Asatis?
Sure. I say this, you say that. I say this. So I say this, if you're watching this, we're sorry we messed up your name, but you were awesome.
Yes.
And also, Gede, Gede, that was that in one of the restaurants? Was that in the, I think that was in the JWB Prime Steakhouse. Yes, it was our server.
Yes.
Who we encountered several times, and he was so awesome and so friendly and just seemed really happy. So reality. The crew members weren't miserable, which makes it nicer because they really take good care of you when they're happy. I mean, they're human, right?
Right.
So the food. You want to talk about the food a little bit because it seemed like you were anxious to. But I said that I was worried that the food wouldn't be that great and we'd be like just kind of getting by for a couple days. How was the food? Tell about some of the food. And we'll do a whole video where we share food and food menus and show you what we ate. But just what did you think?
I thought the food was really good, and it was warm or hot, So they had a salad bar, of course, and
in the buffet.
A fruit area, and then they would have like 2 choices of meat, either ham or fish or turkey or burgers.
Yeah.
So I thought there was a wide variety. They had hot dogs available and hamburgers, and so it was nicely spread out, so you weren't all like crammed in trying to reach over and grab stuff.
So yeah, let's stick with the buffet for a minute because that's a lot of good observations and you're bringing some thoughts to mind. In general, I should say, not food specific, but the ship in general, from what we understand, it was sold out because they weren't taking reservations anymore. Like we heard from a fellow passenger, they looked a day or two before and it was sold out.
It didn't feel sold out though.
It felt for a small ship with, I'm sure a lot of people, when you're boarding, you saw a lot of people in line and stuff. But it never ever felt full. In fact, more often than not, when you went to get on these elevators, they were empty.
Yeah.
It really felt good. It reminded me of our first cruise back after the big shutdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, the buffet, it's a smaller area, and the food selection, comparing it, and we're not going to pick on a specific cruise line. It's not the intent, but we've cruised on Carnival a lot, and we know a lot of other people that watch our videos have been on Carnival. So for comparison, I would dare say, even though every Carnival ship we've been on had a bigger buffet area, the selection in the Margaritaville at Sea Port of Indecision buffet, the variety was greater. It had more options. Carnival, typically they have some really great food in the buffet, but typically they'll mirror it. They'll have like one section, and then on the other side they'll have the same thing. And then there'll be maybe sometimes a separate area further back in the seating, you'll find another area, and it's got the same food again. Well, the area in the Port of Indecision buffet, they had, like you said, they had like hot dogs. They had like
hamburgers,
they had like a little Mexican section where you could make. They even had nacho chips. So you could.
No, they had a lot.
Yeah, so that was very impressive, and that's just the buffet, the per se, the specific buffet. There also is, I know you like that panini press stand. It's kind of like a deli stand.
And that's a great place to go when the buffet is closed and you're still a little bit hungry. Go to the panini press. Because you can get a hot sandwich or a cold sandwich and some fruit.
And there was also, we should talk about seating in the buffet area. The seating, when you first board, if that's where you go, it's going to be more crowded. But we still had no problem finding a place to sit.
Yeah, there was always plenty of tables available to sit if you wanted a window or if you wanted the wall.
That's the popular wall seats. Or pass through the buffet, past the panini press, and go through the doors out to the 5 o'clock somewhere bar and grill. The bar, of course, you need to pay for unless you got a package. But the grill area, they have burgers and a burger bar with toppings, and that's included. Just like, other cruise lines have the burger stands. This ship has an outdoor seating area, the 5 o'clock somewhere bar and grill. It's a very cool themed. It's got a great big. Well, you see the blender drink behind us, or on the wall by Minnie.
And then you see the shark.
The shark. But my point was, they've got a giant blender in the center of that area, so it's themed out with that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's a great spot to go if you don't want to get in line at the buffet, especially when you first board. Bypass it and go and get the panini press, complimentary deli sandwiches and fruit. Go get the burgers at the back of the ship, and you're right there to get the drinks, get your first drink right away, and enjoy the fresh air.
Exactly.
A lot of great options. So, anything else on food? I mean, because we got to talk about the steakhouse. We ate at the steakhouse 3 times. Now, that might sound a bit much for a 2-night cruise, but we only ate there one time for dinner. And we'll do another video on that. But
we did
food,
a brunch, right?
Well, yeah, but let's talk about dinner. What did you think of dinner? Did you think was it as good as the steakhouses we've had on other ships?
It was on point with other steak restaurants on cruise ships. Yeah, they were very efficient, and the plating was beautiful.
The steaks were cooked just right.
I had no complaints.
Okay, it's the JWB Prime Steakhouse. If you've been to a Margaritaville resort on land, you may be familiar with this steakhouse chain. They have it on board, and it is up to the standards that you would expect from a major steakhouse chain. Awesome ribeye, great appetizers, and the whole service was amazing. Like we said,
it was.
Getty was our server was awesome, and you were talking about, you want to tell them about, we went twice for the champagne brunch. What was that like?
Champagne brunch.
The champagne brunch.
That's right.
The breakfast.
The breakfast. So I was like, the first time I got a yogurt parfait, so that was really good. And so, but They have really good breakfast, and the nice thing is they serve it to you, so
they do.
It's nice.
They do, and it's called the Champagne Brunch, I believe, because at least if you get it through one of the packages, like we had the License to Chill package, which we'll do a video on that too. We got a lot of videos to do.
Yes.
It comes with complimentary champagne, Bloody Mary, mimosa, or a Bellini.
Wow.
And they even made you a special Bellini, didn't they? Like
a strawberry.
Okay. So a lot of great food. So the point was, the expectations was the food would not be as good as what we're used to on other cruises, and that expectation was wrong. Good food, great food. Didn't help my diet, but hey, that was good. Let's talk about some other expectations. The expectation is because it's an older ship. I was thinking, okay, we're gonna, just let's be prepared. Let's just think about the fact it's an older ship and not expect it to have the newest, fanciest everything. It's obviously smaller. We talked about that, but the room, you're going to see more wear and tear. You're going to see, some maybe weird designs that they haven't done in a while because the ship was built in the 90s, right? So thought things would be a little more run down. Maybe things would somehow be a little more unpleasant or weird. The reality, what did you think of our stateroom? Let's just start with that.
Well, I liked that there was it on both sides that they had USB outlet?
Well, they had at least one USB outlet. Yep.
Must have been on my side because they had a USB
yeah,
outlet.
that was on your side, I think.
And then it was clean and it was roomy, so I liked it.
Yeah, you could tell they had redone the whole stateroom. The bathroom, maybe, I don't know that there's much more they could do to it. The bathroom was a little dated. Particularly the shower was a little weird. But we'll get into that a little more. But the stateroom, we're going to talk about stateroom more in general, more specifically in a minute. The stateroom looked like it had been totally redone. Other areas on the ship, the public areas, like when you went to the pizza restaurant or the kind of the open corridors, the elevator areas, you could see some elements that maybe are a little different, maybe looked a little more old school. There was one time we were waiting in line for a show, and I don't know if it was the air conditioning system or something, but we had to, the 10 or so people were waiting.
Yeah, it was so cold.
No, remember the dripping water?
Oh, yeah,
there was dripping water. But that could happen anywhere. So there's like some dripping water, probably condensation or something. But yeah, so there were some times where like, okay, yeah, this is an older ship. But generally speaking, they updated all the really important public areas really well. And there wasn't anywhere where I was like, oh my God, this looks like it hasn't been touched since the ship was built.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that. But yeah, if you're wanting a big fancy ship with surfing simulators and the biggest, fanciest stabilization to keep the ship from rocking and stuff like that, a smaller, older ship's not going to have that. So we were prepared for that. And honestly, on a cruise to Freeport, which is all they do, they cruise from Palm Beach to Freeport. They moved slowly, and the sea was a little rough because there was a hurricane forming out in the distance, and so the waves are a little stronger. So you could feel it.
That explains it.
You could feel it a little bit, but
exactly.
It really had plenty of cool Margaritaville touches, like I said, in the room. In the 5 o'clock summer bar, the Euphoria lounge was really cool. They did a good job with it.
Yeah.
So expectations for a 2-night itinerary. I know you've always would prefer a week or longer cruise than a 2 or 3 or 4 night cruise. But did you have any thoughts about what the 2-night cruise would be like based on other cruises we've done? Or?
Well, I wasn't sure what type of activities you would actually do. And it pretty much the same activities, trivia, karaoke, games. Yeah. So group games and stuff like that. So
right, and speaking of activities, they don't have. There's not a Margaritaville at Sea app as far as we could find, but you can find the activities posted on your stateroom TV and or on TVs around. And they did have the typical activities you find on any other cruise ship. One expectation I kind of was concerned about is when we've been on shorter cruises, we were on a 3-night cruise. Over a holiday weekend, I think it was Halloween, and you okay?
Yes.
Okay. we encountered a lot of party people.
Yes.
And we were woken up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with people down the hall just partying in the corridor. And
not so much on this ship.
Well, that's what I was getting to. You keep spoiling my my big surprise. It's fine. But the expectation, I was thinking, it's going to be a booze cruise. 2-night cruise. They got all kinds of great drink packages. They've got bars all over the ship. It's going to be a booze cruise. There's going to be people going crazy all over the place. And it really wasn't like that, like you said.
No.
I was worried we'd run into rowdy. I don't remember running into any passengers that were being too obnoxious or whatever. Some people were, like any other experience around people, there's some people that are, kind of really involved in what they're doing. And maybe, you got like, okay, I'm going to walk this way since you're walking that way and you're busy drinking a drink. But it was not that crowded and people were not, I don't remember noise in the middle of the night.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You didn't hear me go bump in the night.
Oh, well, I don't know about that. That's a little too personal. So the people I got a chance to talk to, whether it's crew members like Rose I mentioned before, or, people just sitting at the bar, or when we were in the main dining room, the Finn's dining room, meeting Daniel and Tabitha, who were, we just happened to sit right next to them. Yeah. And they're like, well, hey, I hope you don't mind if we tell you that we recognize you, because they watch our videos. So it was great to meet Daniel and Tabitha, and they have started their own travel agency because they've gotten so into cruising and watching cruise videos on YouTube. So they're really into it. Yeah. They seem to be enjoying their time on Margaritaville at Sea. So the people I encountered, it was awesome.
And we met one couple that had been just on Margaritaville, and then they came back on the second time.
Yeah. Well,
repeat customers.
Yeah.
And I like the option that Margaritaville has where you can leave Florida and go to the Freeport, and then you can stay at a hotel.
Yeah, and we'll talk. I have that in our final thoughts, so we'll get to that too. But that's one of the things that makes this cruise line unique, because if you're thinking 2 nights, I don't know, that seems like not worth it. It's a little easier if you live in Florida to say, let's just go take a weekend cruise. If you live, in Minnesota or somewhere like we used to, might be like, are we going to fly all the way to Florida to take a 2-night cruise? I don't know.
It's not going to happen.
Let's move on. We hope you're liking the information we're sharing. If you are liking the information, give us a thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up icon below if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, then I don't think you can give us a thumbs up. But hey, if you can do something to say you like us, do it. Follow us,
definitely.
Whatever. But we're glad you're joining us. Let's move on to talking a little more in depth about the staterooms, because that's an important part of any cruise, so you're comfortable. We're getting out of the expectations versus reality here, so you don't have to worry about bursting my bubble if I'm going to try to say the what I expect versus what actually happened. Okay. Tell them, what would you want? What should somebody know about at least the stateroom we had? Which I should say you can get an inside stateroom or an ocean view stateroom, or you can get a suite. And the suites that have the true suites, the really top class suites, they only have 10 of them that have balconies. So those are pretty rare and out of our price range. We had an ocean view on an upper deck. Yep. So we went for upper rooms of the view. What should people know about that?
Well, one thing I noticed is they didn't have a luggage mat on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, if you looked at the bedspread, there were little parrots sewn in.
Yeah, I wonder if I got a picture of that, because it was hard to see the way they're embossed in there. I don't think that's the right word.
They should have made them colorful or something, because
so
all that beautiful stitching and just to miss it.
And the light hit it just right, you could see them. Yeah. So that's what Joy didn't like about the stateroom: no luggage mat and the parrots too hard to see. You want to cover up the parrots with luggage mat, and you want them more colorful.
Right.
The ocean view stateroom, like I said before, they did a great job with theming. They painted it up and put Margaritaville theming. They have pictures on the wall that have I think over
it was
the bed.
On par like Disney, They kept to the theme.
Definitely had good theming. There was like a beach pictures, and I think a picture of a parrot in the room.
Right, it was very consistent.
Mm-hmm. And there was a couple chairs in the room, and they had throw pillows, and I like that.
That was nice. It supported your back.
It supported your back. The stateroom also did have a huge, it's certainly probably bigger than any TV we had on any cruise ship.
Yeah, it
a
was
huge flat screen TV. Maybe the one on Margaritaville was about the same size. That was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
But it was a big flat screen TV. And while it didn't have any premium movie channels, I don't think it even had movie pay-per-view where you could like watch a movie straight through. But I mean, are you going to spend that much time in your room?
I hope not.
But if you do, a lot of TV channels, unlike a lot of these cruise lines where they have like 5 news channels, 5 sports channels, and then 10 cruise line promotional channels. This had CNN, Fox News, TBS, AMC, MTV, HGTV, History Channel, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and more. It had tons of TV channels that you might watch back home, and plenty of sports for those of you who like sports. For like, oh, I'm going to miss my game. Well, at one point, I counted, and on our stateroom TV, there were 6 different college football games taking place that we could watch in our TV in our room at the same time.
Wow.
So compared to other cruise lines, I think for TV content, at least for number of channels, of true channels showing things you might watch back home, I think they've got the best.
Yeah.
That's
and plus they also had their own channels like most cruise ships have.
Yeah, and like where you can see your balance in your activities. Yep, so that's important.
That was really nice.
Yep. And there was a couple quirky things about the room. I mean, the decor was definitely different and unique, like you said. Good theme, well themed. It had a mini fridge. People would call it. It's really more of a cooler. It's not going to get your stuff really cold, but it's enough to keep. If you want to put some water or something in there. That's the other thing. You couldn't order water or gifts or something for your stateroom ahead of time. They don't have that set up for that. So if you want water, go to one of the bars and you can buy water there. Or they leave water in the room that you can buy, but I think you're better off going to the bar and buying water there. They also there's a stool and a desk with a mirror, like a lot of rooms have, and of course, you're safe. So if you want to put your passports or something in there when you're going to port, you can do that. And the closets, 2-door closet, plenty of drawers
plenty of storage for such a short cruise.
And the most interesting thing I found in there, besides the hairdryer, which you usually find, is I found, I don't know if you even saw this. Did you see?
You pointed it out to me, yeah.
The Bible in Italian.
Yeah.
There was an Italian language Bible. And if you're wondering why did they put an Italian language Bible in the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise cruise ship? Well, this ship used to be Costa Classica. It was a Costa cruise ship. So Italian itineraries, Italian Bible.
And you could learn Italian in the elevators because it would say the Italian word for 8th floor or 3rd floor, or says with an accent. I liked it.
Yep. So the other thing I will say is kind of different. We're talking before about how you could tell the ship is old. Condition-wise, they did a really good job. There were some kind of quirks, like the way you'd open the drawers in the room. They had like these weird little like rope type poles, which was kind of strange, but I mean, okay, fine. And the room to the corridor from the stateroom, unlike every other cruise ship I've been on, it doesn't instantly slam shut. It kind of got stuck staying open. And I don't know if it was our specific room door, it's because it's old, or it's just because they were designed that way back in the day. It's kind of different.
What's it called? The sliding door for the bathroom?
Yeah, it's a sliding door.
Yeah.
Well, I've never had that on a cruise ship. That was different. So the thing you got to remember with that is, unless you want to hear it moving, if you're sailing during the night, which you typically are, and you're in bed, you don't want to hear it rolling back and forth, or maybe even if it's rough enough wave slamming shut or slamming open.
Right.
Push it all the way closed or all the way open. If there's a magnetic stop where you can lock it open, or you can obviously close it all the way shut.
And be careful of walking out of the bathroom. It's a big step.
Bigger than every cruise ship we've been on. Unless you have an accessible room, there's going to be a little bit of a step. This one seemed, I agree. It's probably 30 cent deeper.
It's a big step.
What about the shower where you had to be careful?
It was a curtain, so
So
you had to.
we had to be careful of the curtain.
Well, no,
Yes, okay,
the
go ahead.
water would, because it's a curtain. Water would go onto the floor more.
We're not on the same page here, but you're right. It did have a curtain, but most cruise ships we've been on have curtains. I know you like the glass door, but it was a full circle shower. It's a circular, which actually it probably was a little bigger than some we've been on. But the curtain didn't go all the way to the ground. And the thing that I found the first day we were on board, probably the first time I went to the bathroom, was there's probably an inch or so drop between the main floor of the bathroom and into the shower.
That's right.
And with the shower curtain closed, you may not see that, especially when you're first in a room. And I almost slipped, and as my foot went into the shower. So be careful, both getting in and out of the shower and in and out of the bathroom. So different. And the curtain, the shower curtain, it wasn't just a plain one color, white or whatever curtain. It had didn't have like parrots on it or something.
Yeah.
It had some sort of decoration like that.
Yes.
Colorful curtain. They do supply shower gel.
Yep.
Shower gel.
Body wash, shampoo, and conditioner.
And a lot of times, like on Carnival, or I think on Royal Caribbean, or not Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, they just have the shampoo and the body wash, which to me, hey, it's not a big deal. But I have had people comment on our videos and ask, oh, do they have conditioner, or do I need to bring my own? It's like, hey, if you want
like your
anything,
own,
bring your own.
Yes.
But Margaritaville at Sea, they actually have all three: body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. So that's another nice little bonus.
That's right.
Just trying to see if I had anything else. Oh, the walls. It's an older cruise ship, and that's probably why. But most cruise ships you go on, you're able to do what to the walls?
Put magnets on it.
Yep, because the walls are metal and magnetic.
Right.
You can stick your hooks up there, so you can hang up your lanyards or your I don't know, your shawls or hats or whatever. Well, these are not. They won't stick. They don't stick to the door. They don't stick to the walls.
No bueno.
And speaking of the walls are probably thinner than any other cruise ship we've been on, because we could clearly hear our neighbors in there having discussions, and I don't think we heard anything else crazier than that, but you might hear some crazy things because those walls are thin.
Yes, they were.
So not a big deal, but that's maybe a drawback. You already mentioned our room steward, Asadis, was very helpful, getting us extra towels and ice. I like to have ice on my cruise, so I can have it with my water or whatever I'm drinking. So she was really good about that.
I like to have extra towels.
But she got you something, because believe it or not, this woman here on a Caribbean cruise in, it was Labor Day, so it was August, to the Bahamas, was like, I'm cold.
I was so
what
cold.
What did our room steward say to do for you?
I asked her for a comforter or a blanket, and she brought me this beautiful blue blanket. I loved it. It
wasn't just beautiful. It was one of those blank kinds, those really soft.
Yeah, it was fluffy.
Yes.
I loved it.
So good. So I think that's, a couple other things about the bathroom. Over the sink, you don't, of course, you have a big mirror, but there's not like a shelves or like a vanity or something to put stuff like normally we would above the sink.
They had it underneath the sink.
It was underneath, and there's plenty of storage underneath the sink, but it's just a little different. Again, probably because it's an older design. But there were shelves in the shower. There were a lot of shelves in the shower, so I guess you could store stuff in there if you don't care if it gets wet. The other thing that was under the sink, which we learned on our Norwegian cruise.
I think so, yeah.
Was that the trash is under the sink, which, hey, that's not that unusual. There's probably a lot of people that do that at their homes. But if you're staying in a motel room or a hotel room, usually it's out there in the open. But they did something that the other cruise lines that do that didn't do. They put little signs, two places they put trash is under sink. Yep. Trash is in here. And then I think they even had another one to say extra toilet paper or something was in here. And they had plenty of supplies, so you didn't have to worry about going in there and being stranded.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's move on. Let's get out of the stateroom and let's talk about the public areas on board. What do you remember about the public areas of the ship?
I thought they were very roomy and spacious.
Okay, what kind of public areas? You know what I mean when I say public areas?
Oh, like they had a card room.
Mm-hmm.
They had a big area where you could just sit and relax, and they had a whole bunch of chairs, and usually they would have some sort of entertainment.
Yep.
So,
yeah. Are you talking about the Euphoria Lounge?
Yes.
Because that was one of the bigger open areas. It's a good place to relax.
And the dueling piano bar, that was very spacious.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember what the name of that was, but the dueling piano bar, that was really cool. That's on an upper deck.
Right.
And that was a good spot to go and hang out. And there's also a club. I don't know if you ever went to the club.
I didn't.
On that upper deck.
No.
I went there when they're closed just to do some filming, but they've got like pool and I think air hockey in there, and they've got a DJ booth, so I'm sure it gets really hopping in there. Of course, there's a bar in there. Yeah. The Euphoria bar area, going back to that, was my favorite indoor bar to go to. And they had a lot of seating, and they had live music at night. That was a great spot.
I love listening to the karaoke.
Yeah,
it made me laugh.
Yeah. I don't mind listening to that. I don't want to participate, but I'll listen. And then on the level with the shopping, they had not just all the shops, which, like I said before, it was very impressive how many shops they had. They also had I think it was called Frank and Lola's Pizzeria. And we went there one night and got pizza, and it was really good.
And that was the pizza place that had like a robot delivering the pizza, but they discontinued that.
Yeah, if you go in there, don't expect to see the robot delivering pizza, because they apparently did away with that, which I guess that's kind of a gimmick, so I don't think that's a big deal.
Exactly.
But the pizza was really good. I think you weren't hungry, so I got a pizza to myself and ate, I don't know, maybe half of it, probably not even that much. But it was a barbecue chicken pizza, I think.
Yeah, it looked really good. I like the crust.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You had some good crust. But that was really good and reasonably priced. I think it was like $12 for, maybe not even that much for a pizza.
For a large pizza.
Yeah, try getting that from your local pizza joint, and for I think it was a 14-inch pizza. And right next to that, they had a premium coffee bar where you could get coffee drinks, and you could also get pastries. And of course, we mentioned before the JWB Prime Steakhouse. That was so outstanding. Go there for your dinner. Book a dinner one night. Trust us.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
You like steak, definitely.
Yeah. Or they've got good seafood too. Or go there for their brunch, their champagne brunch. That was really good too.
It was yummy, and I was able to get non-alcoholic Bellini, so they can make it non-alcoholic for you if you want it.
That's good. I don't know if I'd do the non-alcoholic thing, but that's up to you. Also, I should mention a couple details about the ship. Public areas, I guess, considered public area. The elevators, like we said, usually were empty. Of course, on embarkation and debarkation, you always expect to be a little more crowded, but most of the time they were empty. But again, smaller ship, smaller elevators. So it's not a big deal if it's not packed. If it's just you getting on or it's a few people, it's no big deal. It worked out fine. But Italian is found in various places, like you mentioned, the elevator announcement. That was interesting.
That was fun.
The Italian Bible.
Yep.
And here's a secret tip. If you like going on cruises, like if you like mother-daughter cruises, you got to get your soft serve ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Usually located near the pool, at least on like Carnival.
Yep.
And at other cruise lines, you can find it near the buffet or the pool, but it's kind of hidden on Margaritaville at Sea at Paradise. If you want your soft serve, get all you want, but you got to head back through the Port of Indecision buffet, past the Panini Grill, outside to the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, and then go back around like you're going to try to go back in the other side. And there's a little corner there, like a little cul-de-sac or alcove where they've got the soft serve ice cream.
I was able to find it once.
Yeah, well, just look, you can follow the kids too. But here's the thing about kids.
We didn't see a lot.
Many kids.
No.
If you're like, I'm looking for a cruise without tons of kids, like especially if you're traveling on a holiday like we were, I was expecting a lot of loud party drinkers. We didn't find that. I was expecting lots of families with kids. We didn't see a lot of kids at all. It's an older ship. There's not a water slide. There's not a lot of these extra features. If you have a family and you're thinking about taking a cruise on Margaritaville at sea, you got kids that are going to want to be very active, this might not be the ship for them. Don't get me wrong. They've got kids clubs, which they look like they're on a lot of fun, and they've got other activities you can do on board. But compared to most Carnival ships or Royal Caribbean ships, nor any of the other ships that are, especially the bigger, newer ones, they are going to be looking for stuff to do. And there's 2 arcades, and there is the kids club. But
they have the sports deck area.
Yeah, but compared to doing a water slide or a racetrack or a roller coaster, I mean, these other ships are good. You're just crazy with that. So it could be a good ship for kids that don't care about doing a lot of active things. Right. They want to read a book, they want to hang out with a family, be with the parents. But if you're also not wanting a ship that's just overpacked with kids, this could be a good one. Plenty of bars, like I said before. My favorite indoor bar was the Euphoria bar at the Euphoria Lounge. Favorite outdoor bar probably was the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, but that 12-volt bar on deck 12 overlooking the adult-only pool on the deck 11 looks like a great spot. I just didn't spend as much time with that one.
I like the Euphoria bar because it really had comfortable seating.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta admit, there was a bartender there that I tipped him, and
he was very generous.
He was very generous, and on the 5 o'clock somewhere bar, it's like I don't want to get this guy in trouble, but holy cow! My first time I got that blender filled, I think it was mostly
half of it was alcohol.
Yeah. So, but the Euphoria bartender. He remembered my name the second time I went there, and he remembered what I like to drink. And he was, it pays to pick a bar or two if you're a big drinker, to go and early in a cruise. Yeah, even on a 2-night cruise, I started having my favorite bartenders, and I like to think I was their favorite drinker.
I think you were.
Okay, so plenty of included food. JWB Steakhouse, Frank and Noah Pizzeria, great specialty options, but the complimentary food is all over the map. We haven't said a lot about the main dining room, the Finn's main dining room.
Dining room food, we didn't have any problems with it, and it was really good. The French onion soup I had was really good, and I wanted to try another appetizer, and they're like, sure, no problem.
Yeah, and I think if you do get more than one entree, though, they do charge an extra $5. But a lot of cruise lines are doing something like that now. But if you want extra appetizers or desserts or whatever, like they got the key lime sponge cake or key lime pie.
They'll let you even bring it back to your room if you want to.
And the thing, we're going to do another video coming up soon where we're going to feature the food we had and share the menus from on board. But the thing you should know, since it's a 2-night cruise, it does the same itinerary all the time. There's some things that repeat over and over. So the crew members are very familiar with it, but it makes it really easy for you. I can show you the menu from the first night, and I can show you the different menu from the second night in the main dining room. And with reasonable confidence, I can tell you that's what you'll experience if you go on a cruise soon. Of course, they could change it tomorrow, but this is the menus they've used for a while. So you can find out and decide what you're going to have before you're even on board. Same thing with activities. I think they repeat the same things. Just one day they do one thing, the next day they have some different things. And the show, they do one show the first day, different show. So it's great that they make each of the 2 days really different, or the 3 days, I should say. But the 2 full days really, they do a good job. What else do we need to say?
The shows also change, though. Their shows aren't the same. I was really looking forward to the Jimmy Buffett show. Yeah, but
they changed that.
The 2 shows that we saw were really good. They were like professional, like going to a theater and watching a professional show.
Yeah, and that's something we should talk about here too. Is both shows were really good. We really enjoyed them, but the second show they did was Radio Margaritaville, and it was really good, where they featured all this music from different Caribbean artists, and they finished with Jimmy Buffett. one of the things at the end, they did what I think was a unique announcement. They may not finish the show with an announcement like they did, but they stopped at the end of the show with thanks for being there and said that this cruise happened to be it started the day after Jimmy Buffett passed away.
Yeah.
And we actually heard the sad news as we were packing, getting ready to head to the port. But they took the time at the end of that show to say, hey, this show here was the last thing that Jimmy Buffett approved before he passed away.
Aww.
And we hope you enjoyed it. So the fact that they changed it from a Jimmy Buffett music show to a show that included more music from more genres and more artists was Jimmy Buffett's decision.
Right.
And or at least he was involved in that, and they really did a great job. The entertainers for a small ship where you expect, maybe they can't attract the best people. They had some awesome people, and there were several acrobatic people. There's these two acrobatic people in particular that if you watch, I've got a separate vlog series that I've started up, and I've done one video so far on it, but I've got one
they were just amazing.
Yeah, this this man and this woman who I saw them rehearsing, and I got to I don't know if I call interviewing them, but I got to talk to them on camera. They'll show that on vlog coming up, and they were amazing. He was, doing the things where he's holding her in the air and all kinds of different things. And she was doing the same thing.
She was equally amazing. Yeah.
It was amazing. So, great shows. What else?
The ship was rocking even.
Yeah, and the ship was rocking that first night a lot. So, what else should we say for final thoughts here? Let me take some water.
I would say it's definitely worth your value. You'll get a lot. So I would highly recommend it. It's probably, dare say, almost as good as some of the bigger cruise lines.
We would definitely do it again. In fact, we talked about maybe we were given a special offer while we were on board, and we talked about maybe booking another one right away. And we will in the future, but we've got a lot going on right now with family trips and stuff.
Right.
We should mention one more thing about their one port they stop at is Freeport, Bahamas. They, if you're going to get off the ship in Freeport, be sure you plan an excursion or something, because there's really nothing to do when you get off the ship. There's basically a parking area where the buses and vans pick you up to take in excursions.
That's true.
And there's a half dozen people selling, straw market type goods,
right?
Pretty dresses and stuff. But it's probably not something you're going to want to get off the ship for unless you're specifically looking for that. Final thoughts before we wrap up. I just want to say the 2-day itinerary. And we kind of already touched on this. I know a lot of people probably say, I won't do a 2-day or 2-night, 3-day cruise. It's too short. What's the point? Here's the thing, and you kind of already touched on this, but Margaritaville at Sea does something really smart. They take you. Every cruise goes to Freeport, and I don't think that's just because they're like, that's the only place we can go. That's the only place we want to go. They do that specifically because you can do a package deal where you go have a cruise land-based resort experience. So you take the ship to Freeport, you get off the ship, they give you transportation to one of, I think, 3 or 4 different resorts they partner with, and it's included as part of your package when you reserve the cruise. Then you go stay for 3 or 4 nights, depending on what you choose, at that resort, all-inclusive resorts there on the Grand Bahama Island, enjoying yourself, and then at the end they take you back to the ship and you take the ship returning. So you can see why they need, in order to do that, they need to keep going between Freeport and Palm Beach. So depending on how long you want to stay on the island, there'll be a spot for you on the ship.
That's right.
And that's what we want to do next time. Go cruise and stay on the island.
Yeah, that'd be
a lot of fun. So any other final thoughts? So I think we need to wrap this up here.
I would say it was a lot of fun. It surprised me in good ways, so I liked it.
Yeah, I was
2 thumbs up.
I was prepared to come back and say, it was fun to try, but that's a one-time thing. Kind of like, we've had some other experience on other cruise ships. We were like expecting better, and it ended up being not near as good. This was awesome. We definitely recommend you try it if it sounds appealing at all. We also suggest, if you enjoy our sort of content here, be sure to subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a way to follow us so you don't miss out on our future cruise podcasts, cruise tip videos, and so much more. Also, if you really enjoy this and you want to get extra material, join our Facebook group. It's linked in the description button down below. If you're watching us on YouTube, just click down below to join our Facebook group. We're looking at adding some exclusive content to our Facebook group real soon. And if you've been watching us on YouTube or listening on YouTube and you want to listen on your, I was going to say iPod, but I guess on your phone to your podcasts, your Apple Podcasts, you can get us on Apple Podcasts now. A lot of information.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this. We have a lot more to share about this cruise and other cruises coming up real soon. How do we end this? I think it's time to take a break. I need some water. How do we end this? I don't remember.
Have a great day and be kind to each other.
That works.
Thanks for listening.
That works too.
Fun, fun, fun for Cruise Day Fun. Fun, fun, fun for Cruise Day Fun podcast.